All right, everybody, welcome to the T.R.I.P Podcast, Toledo Real Estate Investing Podcast. This is episode 1, broadcasting from beautiful Toledo, Ohio. And our first guest is none other than, you probably know him. He's very loud on social media. You've probably seen him all over the place. He's probably bought a home from you. His name is Jim Moody. Jim, how are you?
Good. Thanks for the invite. It's exciting. I'm on number one
You
for
are
once
number one.
in my life.
Well, Jim, it's nice to have you. I really appreciate you coming.
Cool.
Yeah, so I wanted to take it all the way back here first, and just really ask you, in the beginning, what got you interested in real estate? What got you your start in real estate?
Oh my, that's a lifetime ago. I'm 62 and I started in real estate at 30.
Wow.
And I started with probably the nation's one of the very first for sale by owner real estate newspapers called Home Finder Magazine.
Okay.
And then from there, we created a dual split commission program, and we bought market share here in Toledo, and we did really well with that. We went from 3 to eventually about 300 real estate agents.
Wow.
And it was very, very cool because what we did is we got owners
Yeah.
to give us all these leads of buyers for their houses in exchange for a discount.
Yeah.
So the neat part is we just always had leads. And then a friend of mine came to me and said, Jim, would you be interested in doing property management? And I'm going, well, yeah. She goes, I'll bring you 100 houses. Now this was back in the, this would be in the late 90s. And I said, okay. And so I just kind of fell into it, and then the rest was there. And then so I had one of the very first large property management companies in Toledo for
Wow.
a bazillion years, for like 20 some years. And then I sold it because a young man came to work for me, and I said that if you stay with me X number of years or whatever the deal is, I will sell this company to you. And
Wonderful.
so on a handshake, we came to terms, and then I couldn't stay out of real estate because it's fun. It
Yeah.
really is fun. I
Yeah.
mean, sometimes, I started this 2 years ago when my hair was dark.
Yeah. You didn't dye it gray?
Yeah, nope.
Okay.
This is courtesy of both my mom and my dad, more my mom.
Okay.
But I like making deals, and I had international buyers standing in line, and I've got a good group of friends behind me. And so recently, I went to work for this company called Clear Choice Homes, and I coordinate their acquisitions for them. Make sure that the rehab is done the way we like to have it done, and it just really seems to work out. As a matter of fact, we just rented a house today from a gal who said she's looked at 20 houses, and the house we have was far and above nicer than anything she saw here in Toledo.
Nice.
Which kind of stunned me because, we do a nice job on our houses, but I was kind of sad to hear that. It's what it is, though. Let them be, way behind us, right? Let's be the best.
Absolutely. I want to take it back to when you were starting up the brokerage, and you had the 300 agents that you had under your belt at that time. I know you mentioned that you said that you would negotiate discounts with sellers if they brought you leads. Were these
Right.
leads for deals that you wanted to buy as an investment, or were these like just retail leads?
These were retail leads, and these were
Okay.
buyers. So it
Okay.
was, we called it a 770 at the time because Chrysler's car warranty was 7 years, 70,000. So we played off that play off of somebody else's advertising and
Yeah.
just twist it to you.
Sure.
Just make sure that you don't have any copyright infringement. But anyhow, so what it was is we would allow owners to hold their own open houses.
Okay.
And the owners then, to be able to protect it, because if the owner found a buyer, we would discount our commission substantially. But then we would call the buyers and we'd ask the buyers 3 questions. Number 1, do you want to make an offer on the house? If not, why not? And what are you looking for? Because we have others. Okay. The third one is when we would capture the buyer
Gotcha.
to become our client, which, in light of the most recent I don't know if you heard about this big antitrust suit against, the National Association of Realtors.
Yes.
Billion, $1.4 billion.
Mm-hmm.
And what's really interesting is that 20 years ago,
Yeah.
I advocated for the elimination of selling commissions to buyers agents. Because I always felt that buyers agents would do better negotiating their fees with the buyers than being dictated to by poor agents and their pissant stuff that they put into the multiple listing service.
Yeah.
Okay.
Interesting.
But the big brokerages here in Toledo, thank goodness they weren't enough tar and feather to send me out on a rail on, because their heads exploded when I advocated on it. Really? Oh yeah, it was really interesting. I also at one time advocated that all real estate agents membership fees should be raised from $500 to $5,000 a year.
Really? And why was that?
Well, because most real estate agents are one deal away from saying welcome to Walmart. And so what I felt it would do is that it would just significantly increase the quality of the real estate agent, the professionalism. Mm-hmm. And when you think about it, $5,000 worth of commissions, if you're any kind of decent agent whatsoever, that's 2 extra deals a year. Mm-hmm. And you eliminate everyone's second cousin's wife's brother-in-law who got a real estate license, does one every 5 years, and then you lose to them, or you got to carry them through the transaction because they suck at what they do. Mm-hmm. So that's... but again, there's a lot of brokerages here, in Toledo at the time, a couple of which are now out of business, whose 90% of their agents represented, part-time agents who were at 50-50. They couldn't afford it. They needed those agents that only did one deal a year because that was the most profitable to the broker. Right.
So your mindset was, there was a lot of people that were joining the real estate industry that, that had a low barrier of entry at the time and still does.
Right.
Still does. And so you thought that if you raised the annual fee of the realtors, that would cut out a lot of the newbies or the people that just like, just want to make a quick buck and just keep the real players, the people that are here for the long term, and just keep the industry or that sector of the industry more professional and more just more professional.
Well, more professional, that's right. Yeah. And it wasn't to be a barrier of entry for new people to get in, because what I wanted to do is I wanted to graduate it. Mm-hmm. 500 the first year, 1,000 the second year, 2,500 the third, and after that's that. Mm-hmm. So if you can't make, because all new businesses start cash starved, and real estate agents are businesses. Right. Each one of them is in their own individual business, and that's why. Exactly. And that's one of the things with a lot of people who, buyers and of houses and stuff like that, or even in our industry, working with wholesalers and everything.
Exactly.
They see, real estate agents as an enemy of sort, and nothing could be further from the truth. Actually, I'm glad that everyone thinks that real estate agents are terrible to work with, because that means there's more that will work with me.
Exactly. Yeah, and same thing with our business. We actually just opened up a role for somebody to come in as an acquisition manager at our company to handle, reaching out to agents, building the relationships, and just giving value to realtors. Because at the end of the day, and for the people listening, guys, agents have distressed houses. They have houses that they don't want to list on the retail market because they're too ugly to want to put their name on the listing, mm-hmm. and maybe there's not even a solution to where a listing would even work. Maybe they owe too much. Maybe it's not, they can't get financing or whatever the case may be. So reach out to your local real estate agents. It is a wonderful, wonderful strategy, and it's free leads.
Exactly, and not only that, but here's the other thing: if the agent's if their listing's about to expire, there's a time where there's the absolute most motive, because most sellers, not all, of course, but a seller's not going to relist with an agent who hasn't brought deals, and so that agent's about to lose that listing.
Exactly.
So if nothing else, there's a time where you can get a listing agent to be a little bit more creative. Mm-hmm. And when it comes to buyer's agents, what I like to do is I always like to work, quite frankly, I always like to work with listing agents. Okay, Now, there's a danger to that, but I have a lot of experience. And the one thing that I found about listing agents, first of all, they're getting both sides of the transaction now. Yeah. Okay, so there's a financial motivation.
Exactly.
I'm not going to say greed. Yeah. But, there's a financial motivation. They're going to make twice as much money. Mm-hmm. And I think they'll work a little bit harder to put the deal together. Mm-hmm. That's not to say that they're going to be shaky about it because there still is the cans of ethics and the standard
Right.
code of conduct.
Right.
But, I mean, I have got deals together with listing agents that I'm confident that if I'd had buyer representation, that I would not have got. Because sometimes real estate agents let their egos get in the way of deals. They really do. I've seen it. I had to remind my other agents all
Buyer's
the
agents,
time.
thing, right?
Huh?
Buyer's agents.
Well, buyer's agents and seller's agents.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, who can up-onemanship the other in negotiating, forgetting
about the deal.
that exactly. Yeah. They let egos get into it, or you burned me on this deal 14 and a half years ago, and I'm not going to let you forget. It's like, oh my gosh, my head wants to explode. Let's put this together.
Yeah.
So that's my advice on working with real estate agents.
So let me ask you this then. So you were working retail for a long time in a retail real estate space.
Yeah.
What made you want to stop that and focus more on investments? Because I'm seeing you more as a buyer now of real estate, or your company is a buyer of real estate. What was the transition and why did it happen?
I got out of the retail real estate and the property management. I made a commitment to the young man I sold it to. Okay, and circumstances made it so that it was time for me to get out of that portion of the business. After a couple of years, I'm back in it, but now I'm not a real estate agent, because the other thing I will tell you is that having a real estate license, an active real estate license in the state of Ohio, can be constricting when it comes to deals. Okay. And one of the things I will give you a perfect example is, now we all need to act ethically, and what that standard is that standard is based on who you see in the mirror. Right. As now, if somebody calls me up as Jim Moody, the buyer, and their house is $20,000 or $30,000 under the market, okay, as a buyer, I can say, look, it's my discretion what I want to say. Hey, you know what? I think you get more money if you did it this way or that way, but I don't have to. I can just take that and pocket that money. As a licensed real estate agent, I have an absolute obligation. I'm required to tell them, you are marketing this house incorrectly, and should I fail to do so, it opens me up to a lawsuit, and there's tons of precedents where I would lose on something like that.
Absolutely.
So without having a real estate license, I'm constrained to be more creative in my deals, and to just be more aggressive.
So let me ask you this then: for the realtors that are watching this, how would you suggest, if they want to dabble into the investment side of the business, or have their footprint there, how would they navigate that? Do you think it's a challenge at all, or is it just this open communication?
Well, it depends on what dabbling into the investment world means. But the first thing you have to do, regardless of what, is you need to talk to your broker. Okay, you need to make sure what your conditions of association, almost like an employment contract, but you're an independent contractor. You need to determine what that is and whether or not your brokerage will let you do it. Because for a perfect example, some brokerages will let you sell your own home by owner, and other brokerages will not.
Yeah.
And I always thought that ridiculous. Why would a broker force you to pay out thousands of dollars for representation when you don't need that?
Yeah.
That's the first thing, but check with your broker, and then after that, I think it's Katie bar the door. I mean, some agents do that to have access to the MLS, which I think that's false thinking, especially right now. Realtor.com, this is another thing. When I was on the board of directors of Norris, the board of realtors, their stock and trade used to be information. That's what Abe Lincoln once used to say about lawyers, okay, is that their stock and trade is a knowledge in their head.
Right.
For real estate agents, it was the houses that were for sale, okay? Well, then they decided to give all that information away for free.
Right. Yeah.
So why in the world do you need a broker now? You don't really need a broker now. I mean, you can be mad at me, but you all know that it's just for nuances of negotiating. Any bozo can twist open a lockbox and open the door. Most times. We've had some that we can't even still do that, right? All 4 digits.
Sure.
But the point being is that they need to turn that switch off. If you turn that switch off, and I think that was part of the reason for this great big lawsuit, because they're seeing is the MLS is now an advertising vehicle instead of what it was an offer of what's called compensation. And again, there's lawyers way smarter than me on that deal right there.
Sure.
But yeah, agents can definitely do it. And the other thing a smart agent will do, and there's a couple in Toledo that are really, really good at it. They have a list of agents that when they get a listing, they have a list of buyers and wholesalers, and they call us before they even get in the MLS because, again, they want both sides of the deal if they can. I'm negotiating one right now.
Really? Awesome.
Like 4 minutes before we started this podcast.
Was that the conversation you had on the phone?
That's one of them, yeah.
That's one of them?
Yeah.
Awesome.
I mean, today's what, Tuesday?
Yeah.
And I bought 2 over the weekend while I was fishing with a buddy.
Nice.
On the boat.
Nice.
And I've bought 2 today, or by today it's Tuesday, that's 4. Going into December, I'm a little worried though because things get cold.
Absolutely. I'm going to talk to you about that here towards the end. So now you and your company are buying now. You're on the investment side of the business. Tell me, what is your guys' strategy? Because in my experience, I've found that not just a real estate investment business or a wholesale business or retail business, any business in its bare bones is a sales and marketing business at the end of the day.
Always.
Yeah. So as far as your marketing side, I want to dive into that. It's how you are finding deals, finding leads. Tell me about that.
Yeah, let me tell everyone how to become my competitor.
Yes.
It's okay, I'm glad to do it.
I'm telling you guys how to be Jim's competitor. I'm spilling all the beans.
It's okay because 99% of people won't do it. Okay? Pure and simple. I have given the best low-hanging fruit to wannabe wholesalers, and not one of them has stepped up.
I've done it.
And we'll talk about that in a minute. Your
your
question again was, what
are your? I mean, how are you guys finding deals?
Okay, how am I finding deals? Okay, so I lift up a ton of rocks.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's where you find them, on a ton of rocks. So social media is huge. I am always on social media.
Yes.
And the thing is I'm out there asking to be on social media. Okay.
Yeah.
Our company has expanded now from in 2022 just Toledo. 2023 we're in Toledo and Akron. In 2024 we're going to be in Dayton and Fort Wayne.
Okay.
Okay. So the idea is to grow the company to 100 flips a year.
Okay.
Okay. 100 buys and resales.
Nice.
Yeah. And the neat part is it's all with hard money lending. People whine about hard money lenders and how expensive the money is, and I remind them of this.
Yes.
It's not how much the money costs, it's what you do with the money.
Exactly.
And so it's a good hard money lender allows you to be nimble.
Yes.
Quick.
Yes.
Think outside of the box.
Allows you to scale.
They're everything that a bank isn't.
Yeah.
That I've met so far.
Yeah.
So don't sue me, banks. Okay.
Yeah.
And if you do, that's fine. Just spell my name right. I need all the publicity I can get. So, the first thing I do is I work with wholesalers. I'm just constantly scanning Realtor.com. Constantly. Okay?
For listings.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm looking for the one that has a price reduction.
Okay.
Here's a great tip.
Okay.
In the spring, okay, when the flowers are starting,
Yes.
look for listings that have snow in the pictures.
Okay. That's a tip, guys.
That tells you that they've been around for a while, haven't they?
Yeah.
Or in the winter, when it's January and we're freezing, look for the houses that have green leaves on the trees or green grass. That tells you everything right there. White snow after snow's been around for a long time. So you can see that it's been. And I'm going to tell you another. This is a great negotiating trip. I'll give you this tip right here. It's fun. Okay, so here we go. Most people don't know this, but when your house is vacant after 30 days, what's that do to your insurance coverage? Do you know?
What happens?
In most cases, your insurance coverage is reduced by 60%. So if you have a vacant house and you have $100,000, just to give you perspective, if you have $100,000 worth of coverage, someone sets fire to it, the most you're going to get, $40,000. Okay? Most sellers don't know that with their vacant house, they are now sitting on a ticking time bomb. Okay? And I'm here to tell you right now, especially going into winter. Mm-hmm. Arson happens more in the winter than it does in the summer, and it's mostly because people are going into the houses, they light a fire to stay warm. Excuse me. And stuff happens.
Yeah.
So what I'll do is I'll take that tip and I'll remind the agent. I go, by the way, you make sure that you let your seller know that because I've been tracking your house, because it's vacant for more than 30 days, your insurance rate, check with their insurance agent, but I'm pretty sure your coverage has now been reduced by 60%. And if you let your insurance agent know, your insurance premium is probably going to go up 4 times.
Wow.
There you go.
That's a great tip, guys. I'm learning something here. This is a great tip.
It works.
I bet it does.
It did today.
So
I got someone to reduce their price by 23%.
Wow.
After saying that.
That's not bad.
No, it's not.
No, not at all.
Uh-uh.
So it's wholesaler outreach, finding deals on the MLS, just dealing with realtors. So nothing paid. Like you're not doing any mailers or like internet leads or anything like that.
No, listen, as an end buyer, mm-hmm. and people have asked me about this, so I don't know how this fits with your podcast or anything, but
go ahead.
I don't want to be a wholesaler.
Mm-hmm.
I want to employ as many wholesalers as I can. Mm-hmm. Look, I tell every wholesaler that calls me, any wannabe Johnny-ette wholesaler versus Johnny, right? Mm-hmm. Wholesaler that call, I will talk to you. I will give you this time of day. I will encourage you. I will help you. I will give you tips. Mm-hmm. Okay, because I want you to bring me deals. I want to be the first one mm-hmm. that you call. Mm-hmm. Okay, I need the first one that you call and the last one you call before you lose your listing to the expiration.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Pure and simple. Mm-hmm. I may not be able to buy it the first time, but I'll buy. I just made an offer. Here's another one. Okay. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's just hilarious. This is why I enjoy this so much. Okay. So someone's got a wholesale house, and I'm gonna make some numbers up, and they're asking $60,000 for it. Right. It's been on the market for 3 days. So I sent them an offer through one of these sites or whatever the deal is, which irritated me that I had to register for yet one more thing, put my email out one more time. But
was it Investor Lift?
It was.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and I made the offer of $40,000. I said, that's a lot, right? And I said, look, just, I made this offer. I know you're not going to accept it right now, but you need to call me at least 15 days before you lose it for good. At least you know where I stand. They called me 3 days into it. Mm. I know, right? That works. So, one thing's for sure is but like, okay, what I wanted to say also is when it comes to wholesalers and you're the end buyer, the wholesaler is not your enemy. He's your buddy. Or yes. She's your buddy. Yes. This is critical. Yes. I think I told you this the first time that I met you. I hope you make $50,000 off of every single deal I do. I never worry about your profit. I only worry about my own.
Right.
Okay? And I've had wholesalers. I know one guy made at least, I think, $17,000 off of one of mine on his, that was his assignment fee. Mm-hmm. And another one, I think the same wholesaler got another $15,000. And this is really interesting. We were having an impasse, me and the seller. Okay, the wholesaler is not the seller. You guys are just messengers. Really, that's what you are. Okay, yeah. And he goes, I'll just cut my assignment fee. I said, absolutely not. If you cut your assignment fee by $1, I'm not buying the house. You tell the seller that their house is a piece of crap. This is why, and they need to reduce the price. I could hear the wholesaler shaking in the phone. Okay,
I love this.
But they went back and did it. Got the seller to reduce the price, so it was acceptable to me because I gave them real justification, and the wholesaler made their full boat commission. And it was a good one. It was like $8,000.
Nice.
Exactly. It was good for them. And who do you think gets the first call from now on? It's me. Exactly. Right? And this person, maybe, I don't know. I haven't gotten a deal from them since, but I don't really care. Again, maybe I helped put their kid through college. I don't really know. Maybe pay the heating bill. Sure. I don't ever worry. That's what, so I do that. And then I have these new wholesalers. And they go, I just, will you mentor me? No, I won't. Okay. Because you can't afford me. And I'm not going to teach you how to do this. My goodness gracious. There are tons of YouTube videos, which you got to be smart. You don't necessarily need to buy a system to learn the system, right? But here's the low hanging fruit. I'm going to talk about this right now. Here's what you need to do. I mean, you can dial for dollars. You could drive for dollars. I know everyone does that. Fabulous. Okay. But here's what I don't understand what people don't do. Why don't you call the seller that hates their house? Absolutely hates their house.
And how do they find these sellers?
Okay, I'm going to tell you. The seller that hates their house the most right now?
Tell me.
The one that just got a nuisance abatement levied against them by the city that the property is located in. And if they don't get that thing fixed in 30 days, guess what? They lose their driver's license. How excited do you think that person is about owning that house right now?
Probably not much.
Okay, here's the second one. You ready? Another serious person just hates their house?
Guys, write this down.
Okay. The owner that just went through eviction court. Okay? I mean, even this post-COVID stuff, the judges here and whatnot, what they're doing is off the charts as far as dragging stuff out. That's crazy. I like Florida. This is it. We're coming on this day, and you can leave with whatever's in your hands. Those owners down there, they have the dumpster delivered on set-out day. Used to irritate me to no end when I would have to do an eviction in property management, and we would set all the stuff out to the curb that we're required to in the bailiff, and you can't throw it. You got to nicely set if it's raining up, and then these people would have their U-Haul trucks right there. So we were moving all the stuff out of their house for them, and all they had to do was move it from the curb into their U-Haul truck. Oh my gosh! I will tell you more than once, the hinges off the refrigerators, I don't know where they went.
So nuisance abatement and
nuisance abatement. I'm sorry.
I said so nuisance abatement, and in other places, what do they call it? Code violations, essentially.
Be the same. Yeah.
And then evictions.
Evictions, and then the last one is tax court.
Okay.
Okay. Now, most people that don't pay their taxes don't pay for the rest of their houses either. Kind of like foreclosures. I don't think foreclosures are the best source. I mean, again, you lift up as many rocks as you can, right? The challenge you have, though, with foreclosures, not only are they not paying their mortgage, they're probably not paying their auto mechanic, they're not paying their dentist, they're not paying their credit card. So they have all these additional liens on the house that only get washed away, through a foreclosure action.
Right.
Tax sales, the same thing. But a lot of times, the taxes that are owed on a property are nothing. $10,000 on an $80,000 house. Yeah. And if it's the right tax sale, the mortgage goes away. And the only thing this is very important though on both I think foreclosures and definitely tax sale liens, very very important. IRS liens do not go away.
Yes, I've dealt with that.
Yes, and I know someone just got burned on a $200,000 foreclosure sale, and there's a IRS lien that stayed with the property for hundreds of thousands of dollars. I know. Always, if you're doing that, develop a relationship with a great title company and do lien searches. And they're public liens, so it's not real hard. Shouldn't cost a lot. I'm sure through technology today, there's a way to do it yourself. But
so you're buying the tax liens. Is that what you mean in regards to?
Well, you're not buying the tax lien. It's a tax auction.
Oh, because you have to
now, yeah. In some states, they do have tax liens. I think Michigan has that, where you bid for the actual lien, but there's rights of redemptions and things like that. So you just gotta know that in your. But the point is, if you're buying that, then you're not dealing with a motivated seller, are you?
Yeah.
You need to get to that seller before, because now if it's a great deal, guess what? You're not the only genius in the world, and they're going to show up on tax day. The trick is to put on your big girl, big boy cast iron underwear, okay, and go knock on the door. 7 out of 10 people are going to tell you to F off, okay? But when you make $40,000 on on one of those other ones, you can cuss at me all you want. I can go home and take a shower, and I'm gonna use really expensive soap. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Just how you can you can just take it.
And so, in regards to finding these properties that are behind their back taxes and going to sheriff's sale or tax sale, are you finding these? Are you calling up like somebody with the city and saying, hey, I want a list of like tax liens, or do you want are you going like looking at like the legal news and seeing what properties are going for auction?
Usually, you can find that on every municipality is going to be, every county is going to be different, states are going to be different, but usually it's on the, it'll be on the sheriff's website or the auditor's website or something like that. Once you find it, you'll have it. And here's one last one I forgot about too. This is really cool too.
Okay.
Probate. Okay. Now I'm not talking about a fresh probate, but I'm talking about what happens is in most municipal courts, there are a ton of unrealized probate cases where there are either no heirs or there's not enough money, there's no attorney that can take it on. So the courts get backlogged with tons of houses and real estate that are just languishing on the probate judge's desk. If you can help them eliminate that, you're going to be a hero. Unfortunately, that's not the judge that fixes your traffic tickets, but you're going to be a hero, right. And those are good deals.
And you were finding these directly through the probate attorneys, so you're
no, not through the attorneys. You got to do it through the probate court itself.
Okay, so are you going and finding like the records online?
I don't know. I'm old school like that, so I had to go down and there's like a list.
Oh, okay.
Again, you go down to your local county courthouse where the probate is. Tell them that you're interested in buying homes that are in probate that might not be represented or anything else. Trust me, they're going. If you're nice about it, they're going to work with you, at least guide you into the right way, and off you go. Do I do this? I don't do this now because I want you guys to do it, but I have done it. Okay. So I never, and this is like what I always used to tell my investors too, when I had property management. I will never put your money in a neighborhood I haven't first put my own money in. Okay. Same as everything that I have suggested to you tonight, I have done myself. Okay? I just don't want to work that hard anymore. I'm 62 years of age. I don't have to.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
So, it's young people like you, okay, that you're building your deal. So here you go. I mean, the neat part is there's all these seeds to plant your garden with. But if you don't put the seeds in the dirt, if you don't go to work, they just stay dry and they don't multiply. They're worthless.
Absolutely. I love that. So then let me ask you this. Those were great tactics, great strategies that, the everyday person can go out if they want to get their first deal or they want to scale their business or just find more deals to buy themselves, those are great strategies to implement. But let's say if you can take it back to when you were first getting started, right? And there's something that you could tell yourself, not just, maybe a tactic, maybe it's something that you would say in regards to, mindset or mentality. What do you think you'd say to yourself?
You mean to motivate myself?
Whether to motivate yourself or to make your real estate journey easier or get to where you wanted to be faster. What do you think you would say to yourself?
Education. I can't stress enough that you should go to, like tonight, after this, I have a real estate networking group.
Okay.
There's a group called RIA, and then you can go to NRIA, which is National Real Estate Investors Association. In Toledo, we have just RIA. You got to go to those things, and 90% of the attendees are wannabes. I was a wannabe when I first started, okay?
Sure.
But you go. You sit in the front row, okay? And you listen. And, I have done thousands of transactions, okay? And I used to do, and I'm going back again here in a little bit, maybe next year if I feel like it. I've done tons of seminars myself, right? People come to me from all over the world. And I don't say this as a bragger, but I'm just giving you my credentials, right?
Right.
And yet, when there's a speaker or anything else like that, I always sit in the front row and I always take notes. Because if I'm going to spend an hour and a half of my night, I'm hoping to glean something from it. And these are guys that are, of course, they're trying to sell you programs and stuff like that. But when they try to sell you a program, they can't help but not give you one or two nuggets, right? And I believe in buying courses. There's subject twos that you could do. And one of the ones I would encourage everyone to do is to buy, is to attend a seminar by a really smart CPA type accountant on how to do business accounting and real estate accounting, like compartmentalized depreciation. And right now, I'm not going to tell you guys about it, but you can look it up yourself, called reverse Starkers. Look it up. You'll be stunned at how much
Starkers.
Starker, Starker transactions. Okay? They can look it up on their own.
All right.
But anyhow, you just got to educate yourself. Educate, and then when you go to groups like this, there's you can trade war stories. It's kind of like a bunch of fishermen, fisherwomen too. I mean, there's tons of liars. Okay, lots of embellishment going on, but again, a lot of egos.
Yeah.
But again, take it for a grain of salt. And the thing is, you can't go to 2 of these or 3 of these and say it's not going to work for me. You got to go to a year's worth.
Yeah.
And listen,
consistency.
And here's the other thing I'll tell you. Okay. Most millionaires, most successful business owners, do you honestly think they work 40 hours a week? Of course they don't. Most high income earners, do you think they work 40 hours and quit? Of course they don't. Okay. And yeah, and these guys that you see on the planes and buy my systems and everything else like that, they're working a ton of hours here. So every high income, net income earner that I'm aware of works at least 50 hours a week. That's 2 extra hours a day, maybe 4 hours a night or a few hours on a Saturday, whatever the deal is. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. You can, because what do most people do when they go home at night at 5 o'clock after a job? What do they do?
Relax, maybe have dinner with the kids.
And what do they do? Watch television,
not work.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Why? Hey, you know what? I understand that family time. I'm all about family time. I don't even let my off time. My contractors are forbidden from working on Sundays. For me, you go to church, or that's the time you have the opportunity to go to church. And you could do it with family time the day off. But you are not allowed to work on any of my stuff on a Sunday. I may want you to work 12 hours on a Saturday. Like this week, we're in the fall, right? And we have like a bloom here. I got all my contractors stopping anything that they're doing on the interior, and we're doing nothing but exterior work. And I work Saturday, they had to work Saturday, okay? Because we're getting all the painting done, all the houses I bought, the yard work done, anything that needed exterior work, caulking, all that other stuff, because then, boom, next week it's back in the 40s, so we can go back inside again, and we can do all that interior work now. Yeah. So I did have them work on Saturdays, but I usually buy lunches or something like that if that's an extraordinary where I'm pressing on them. Mm-hmm. But you got to work, you make it out, and it's just not going to be 40 hours a week.
Yeah.
Pure and simple.
Yeah, especially when you're beginning. No way.
I don't know how it is even when you're not. I mean, I was doing it when I was 55. I was still going to these RIA meetings and Property Investors Network meetings and.
But at least when you've done it for so long, or you've built maybe a machine that is bringing the deals into you, whether that's through relationships or through your own marketing. You have the wind behind your back when you're just starting.
Right.
You don't have that. It's just pure grit.
But you got to remember
perseverance.
You're not the only person. So that's a great point. You got the wind behind your back. You got a machine. You got deals coming. Guess what? Someone else has got the same machine, the same deals. And if you sit on your heels, they're going to outthink you. And pretty soon it's like, oh well, oh my gosh.
What happened?
Because, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Why am I in chapter 7?
I thought I was number 1.
Exactly. You were for a minute, but then you stopped. So, and when I give my seminars, I congratulate people. I mean, everyone wants to complain about the 1%ers, which, quite frankly, the 1%ers are not. There's the Jeff Bezos type guys, right? Elon Musk. Yeah. But if you keep on working down the 1%, you'd be surprised at how not significant that number needs to be and still be in the top 1 to 5%
Absolutely.
earners. So, but yeah, this is a way to transition. It just transitions. But education.
Love it. Love it. What would you say to somebody that's just getting started? Somebody that wants to get into real estate, whether, let's say on the investment side, on the buying or wholesaling side, how would you suggest somebody to get started?
Well, that's hard. I mean, whether you like it or not, I could care less. Okay, but Trump once, his first book was The Art of the Deal, and it's true. Real estate is a blank canvas. You are the artist, and all the methods of working in real estate is your palette of colors. Okay, so whether you want to be a subject to expert, which is a great way to control real estate without having any money on your side. If you want to be a wholesaler, if you want to hold and own real estate, if you're looking for long-term generational wealth accumulation. Because I'll give you a perfect example. I don't know, honestly, that monthly cash flow is the exact answer to generational wealth accumulation as it is to go out and buy a property in, I'm just going to make this up, say in California where you're paying $1.4 million, you got no positive cash flow. You might even be throwing $100 a month at it. But in 15 or 20 years, once the tenants have paid that off, if you got the right property and everything, you now have $1.2 million after having invested $20,000 of your own money, okay? Right. But for financial freedom, and again, what's your definition of financial freedom? Is it because I make $15 an hour, which all work is honorable, okay? Right. But that's not enough for me to live the lifestyle I want. Then you need to build your monthly cash flow, okay? So it depends on what kind of investment you're doing. This is the one thing that I would tell everybody that's thinking about getting into real estate investing. This is the first thing I would do. The very first piece of real estate you should do is to purchase a 4-family and you live in one of the units so that you can use FHA financing with the 3.5% down payment and then live in it for a year or two maximum, and then you own that and you bought an investment piece of property for 3.5% down payment. That's unheard of.
Yeah.
That's my first piece of advice.
Yeah. You probably make money if you buy the right deal.
You will make. There's zero doubt that you're going to make money. And here's what's even more beautiful. You ready for this? Learn how to do an FHA 203K. And what that is that's a loan where you get to borrow not only the purchase price, but you get to borrow all the fix-up. And while you can only fix up your own unit, I'm pretty sure it also includes the roof, the heating system for your own unit. You can put in all kinds of stuff, upgrades, that would spill over into the benefit of the whole unit. That's my first piece of advice. Okay,
Love it.
That's the first one.
Love it.
Then after that, I would just say, be committed to a strategy, and you have to be committed to it. Because, just like I said, it's a blank canvas. Yeah. I've seen too many investors go from one thing to another. And here's a big fail point. I could never understand this. An investor would get successful at a technique. Okay? And then rather than replicate the technique, they'd veer off onto something else. I'm going, what's the matter with you? Real estate agents are the same way. Yeah. They become very successful representing buyers or sellers, and then all of a sudden they want to veer off and start flipping houses. Yeah. And then the next thing I know, they're painting their own house that they're flipping that you could pay someone $15 to $17 an hour. Meanwhile, you were making $60 or $70 an hour as a real estate agent. So you just reduced yourself to... It doesn't make sense to me. So find your niche, and then remember, Ford didn't become a bazillionaire by having a bunch of different manufacturing models, right? Henry Ford became a bazillionaire by replicating the same model over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. Yeah. Yeah. So that's the other thing.
It's creating the machine.
Find your deal and stick with it.
I love it.
Okay.
I love that. I absolutely love that. This is my last point I want to talk to you about, and it's about today's real estate market.
Okay. Interesting. Very fluid.
Tell me about it.
I don't know it.
What's your point? What's your opinion on it?
I'm scared.
Okay.
I'm not scared. Kind of scared. I'm scared for the retail flip.
Okay.
Okay. Now this is really interesting. When I first started selling real estate in the Stone Age, long ago, okay, 1990s, we were elated when interest rates finally fell below 10%. Okay? So I was on the sidelines when real estate interest rates were 2, 3, and 4%. And that was just unfortunate. I shouldn't have been on the sidelines, but it is what it is. So what's happening with the real estate in the fall of 2023 is that the layoffs are starting. I read the Wall Street Journal. I think the Wall Street Journal is the finest newspaper in America. It trends stuff. I mean, it's trending. Although I've recently found a couple stories that were kind of dated. That was surprising. They weren't on the cutting edge. But the deal is that real estate prices, I think, are going to remain where they're at. I don't think they're going to fall. Okay. Now, again, I could be wrong. And if there is a correction, it's not going to be in Rust Belt markets and stuff like that. It'll be markets where you see huge appreciation, maybe Cape Coral, not even necessarily Vegas so much anymore because I think that's steady. So, but anyhow, the one thing though that makes flipping right now still a solid strategy, retail now, of course, I'm talking, is the lack of inventory. Now, what I don't understand is what the people that bought at 2.5% and 3% loans. My daughter's one of them.
Okay.
They're very, 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 very not willing to give up that loan rate.
I bet.
So what that means then is they're not really going to sell their house. Okay? And that's what makes the real estate market tick is movement. Okay? Now, but because there's a lack of sellers, I'm going to call it a seller shortage. There's always people turning 18 every day. So the zooplankton of the real estate food chain, okay, the first-time home buyers, that's what feeds the second-time home buyers and whether it's going to go up.
Right.
So I just don't know, but what I think will keep a high demand where while you're not going to get multiple offers like you did and bidding up the stupid numbers. Right. I think it's going to be a little bit more level-headed, but solid. Okay. I think. Okay. I don't know. I mean, where are interest rates going to go? If they go to 14%, before you were born, and probably many of you watching, because who knew what a podcast was before, 5 years ago? During the Jimmy Carter years, interest rates went up to 20%.
Yeah.
Okay? Talk about throwing, gravel into the gearbox of any machine. Okay? But people did find ways around it. They got creative through lease options and land contracts and stuff. It's the only way you could make real estate work. And that's back when you could actually truly assume mortgages, which those days are gone now too. But banks were willing to do it back then because it was the only way to keep things going because interest rates were just gone nuts.
Yeah.
So everyone keeps talking about, and here's the other thing that this is a guess on my part. Okay, we'll see if it's true though. Okay, you've been hearing about all these complaints about a lack of affordable housing. Okay, this is again where Congress sucks, and I'll say that on the record. That's James Moody. Congress sucks. Okay, they can't get it together. One of the things that used to be out there that helped provide a lot of affordable housing was when HUD was selling foreclosed homes. For the first X number of days, it was always reserved for owner occupants, right? Same with like Fannie Mae, foreclosures. Now what are they doing? They're bundling all these foreclosures up and they're selling them to hedge funds. That the hedge funds are now turning into rental properties. Okay? Thereby taking what could be an affordable home.
Not with the hedge funds, it isn't.
No.
No.
Well, it might be an affordable home, but you'll never be able to promote home ownership.
Right.
And therein lies the deal.
Yeah.
And if you still believe, which there's even some cracks in that thinking, that home ownership is a path to generational wealth as well. I believe it is. And it's a forced savings account so that even if someone gets hurt financially, but if they've kept their home, they can do a reverse mortgage when they're in their 70s, and that will augment their income, carry them on out. So, as far as investors are concerned, I mean, it's a double-edged sword. On the other hand, I would love to see interest rates go to 30% and take all these wannabe investors out. But those that are cash laden, it will blaze the trail for them too. I think the market is extremely fluid, but it's resilient. People have been investing in real estate since the beginning of time.
Yeah.
Okay, and just do it and figure it out. It'll come to you. There's no doubt about it. The only way you don't get successful in real estate is when you don't start.
Yeah, or when you quit.
There you go. Well, you can quit and be successful then at that point. If you're banking, like one guy I know quit at 3,000 houses. I'm kind of with him on that.
That's a good place to quit.
Exactly,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, his kids are taking over the business, and to get rid of old dad, they bought him a 65-foot yacht to park outside of his condo in Miami, and they're from the Midwest, okay? And they specialize in affordable housing, like government subsidized and affordable housing, a lot of elderly work and stuff like that too, which I don't understand those programs. And he's found something to do. It's all good.
Love it.
Yeah, so real estate changes lives. It can change your life if you let it.
Yeah, love it. Mm-hmm. Love it. Any last words?
No, have at it. Hey, bring me your deals.
There you go.
That's what I want.
Where can people find you?
My phone number is 419-392-4444. You might start with a text. My email, MRN, is in Mary Robert Nancy, Ohio, spelled out at gmail.com. More than happy to answer a question or two. I won't mentor you, but if you've got an interesting situation or a predicament, I find those things very interesting. And if I don't know the answer, and if it's interesting enough, I'll find the answer and share it with you.
Love it. Jim, thank you so much.
It was
really
fun.
Appreciate this.
I'm glad to be number one.
Yes. Thank you, guys.